Hello there. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Qua Podcast. Today, I know that you are excited as always. We thank you for always sending your feedbacks, your questions, your positive feedbacks and review. We are grateful. Thank you for everything you've done so far. We are also delighted to be your hosts and would like to also thank our sponsors. We would like to thank Kwa Event Center for giving us this beautiful place, the ambience, everything you see here, from the lightings, the camera to the whole space. We are grateful. Kwa Event Center is a fully equipped event center where you can do your concerts, you can do your live recording, you can do your conference, you can have your meetings, and so on and so on. You can always book or get more inquiries at Kwa Event Center at the website. Thank you. I would also like to thank Ikoyi Properties for standing by us. Ikoyi Properties is a platform where you can rent, you can buy properties and also advertise your property. Shortlets, apartments, lands, and everything you need about properties. We also would like to thank PP Chat for doing business with us. PP Chat is a fast growing platform where you can trend and earn. With the PP Chat platform, you can find job vacancies. You can also advertise job vacancies for business owners. You can advertise your products there. You can also connect and register. For every content you post, you earn a point, and that point can be converted to money. You can also send money to a fellow user on using the PP Chat app. PP Chat is available on the App Store. It's also available on the Play Store. It's available as PP Trend, both on your iOS device and also on your Android. We would also like to thank Lagos Nawa for keeping us in business. It is not easy for what you do. Coming here costs a lot. So we thank you for your solid partnership. For our viewers out there wondering what Lagos Nawa is, Lagos Nawa is a forum, is a platform where you get the latest gist, you get the latest infotainment, entertainment, and everything from politics to fashion to gossip and everything going on in Lagos. Thank you, Lagos Nawa. You can go sign up, register on Lagos Nawa with www.lagosnawa.com. Yeah, it's also available on all socials. Thank you, Lagos Nawa. So today I am your host. My name is Blessing, the one's daughter Bride. It's a brand new day, and we are here with two beautiful, amazing guests. We're here to talk about parenting. I know that question has been in your mind. A lot of people have their scares of parenting. The single have their mind. Some of them are probably wondering how they would turn out, as a parent. There are a lot of concern out there for the singles and also for the married. There are some of them, they have this constant fright when it comes to raising children. So my guests here are seasoned, they are experienced, they are mothers. So and you know how we do it on the Choir podcast. We don't just bring people, we bring people with experience, we bring people with deep knowledge, revelational knowledge. We bring people who are also in the faith. So quickly, as I introduce my guests, I hope you enjoy this as much as we do recording this. Thank you. So without wasting any time, my first guest is the beautiful Deborah Olaleye. She's an audacious daughter of Abba. She's a chartered human resource personnel. She's a distinguished HR personnel with a passion for developing talent and optimizing skills. Her dedication to work and her family amplifies her commitment to excellence and her ability to inspire and lead by example. She's a dedicated worker at the One Church International, serving under the prayer arms of the ministry. So we have a prayer warrior here. Okay, she's also in a fellowship that hears, feels the struggle, and heal the pain of a single parent. Yes, wow. This is, I'm excited. Yes. Let me take that again. She belongs to a fellowship that here. So for the single mothers, after now, if you have more questions, if you have some pain that you like to discuss, she's here. You can reach her on our socials. The fellowship that hears, that feels the struggle and heals the pain of single parents. In a nutshell, her commitment to excellence, faith, and family amplifies our ability to inspire and lead by example. Hello, Ma.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here this
Thank
evening.
you, Ma.
Yeah.
Wow, this is it's such a delight.
Yes,
Hello.
it is a delight to be here.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
You're welcome.
And our second guest is a friend of the house. This is our second time. Second time or third time? Multiple times. We have Dr. Julie Emakpo Emujemo, Egwejemo. Okay, Egwejemo? Yes. A graduate of economics, an entrepreneur, an ex-banker, a minister of the gospel, a blogger, and a force to reckon with. Dr. Minister Julie Emakpo has over 12 years variable experience banking experience in customer service marketing, banking operations, and credit risk management. She's a visionary leader, results driven with a great passion for excellence. She's the founder and the president of White Worship Commission, an interdenominational worship movement and a non-profit philanthropic organization. She is also the brain behind the hashtags of life and inspirational and spiritual uplifting blogspot reaching nation. Presently, she's the head of sales and marketing at the Macaros Luxury Property Limited. She's blessed with two amazing boys and so many spiritual children. Hello, Ma. Thank you for coming on board with us today. All right. You see now that we have beauties and brain with us here. We have people who are not just experiencing their career, but also as a mother. There's always this struggle, raising children as a career woman, right? A lot of women will say that they want to take a step back from their career just so that they can raise a child to a certain age. Why some people just, juggle into it. They are raising children and also, you know, lifting the flag of their career very high. So today we are talking about parenting with purpose, right? So I would like to start with you,
Okay.
right? So to you, what do you define? How do you see parenting?
Okay. Parenting, I say, is a career on its own,
Okay.
right? And it's a lifetime journey. Parenting just don't start, when you give birth to a child. It starts from when you know your right from your wrong, especially if you have siblings. For me, parenting started when I assisted my mom to raise my siblings. So
Hmm.
it actually prepared me for the actual parenting. Yeah. So parenting is giving your life. Parenting is outpouring yourself, right? And in one word, I would describe parenting as modeling. That's just
Hmm.
the simple word I will use to describe parenting.
Mm. Okay, so what would you say about children that grew up without being modeled, being trained? Would you say that that would be as a result of an absent parent, or because sometimes, oftentimes, you see children that were raised right that begin to do the opposite. So,
Mm,
if parenting, by your own definition, is modeling a child,
mm.
what would you say of such a child?
Okay, for a child who had good modeling, but then chose to um, it's about decision. You model, and then along the line, the child decides to look outward. There is a mother, there is a father, always in the life of a child, but there are several parents.
No,
Yeah.
okay.
So taking the lead as the birth father and the mother is very important. However, um, parents, the birth parents, they try their best, to model right. But then the child can decide that I'm not going to focus on this. And that is where the God factor comes in. I can't just say, oh, okay, I want to model this to my child and then go to sleep and think everything will be fine, right? That is where the God factor comes in. As you're modeling, you're also going on your knees and interceding that this child, imbibe the model that you're creating or you're painting to the child. Yeah.
Wow, thank you. That's really, really profound. Wow, doctor. Okay, so from your introduction, I noticed that you've really done well for yourself in your line of career, you know, being a banker, being in customer service, all the dedicated years that you spent in the banking industry and other things you do. How do you balance parenting and your career?
Okay, thank you for that question. I have two boys, and I've had to juggle my career and bringing up and raising them up. I would say it's not an easy task, but with the divine help of God, the Bible says, train up a child the way he should go, and when he grows, he will not depart from it. So for me, when it comes to work, I give it all my best. I give it the time that is allocated to my job and my work. Then when it comes to the home front, I give my parents, my kids, the attention, the nurturing, the psychological, emotional care they desire or they require. I don't juggle, I don't mix it together. When I come home, I drop the work I have to do at home and I attend to them. Yes, it's not an easy task, but it's something that I've been able to go through it, and I have been successful in that because I've watched my kids grow up and I see people say, your boys are well behaved. It comes from a place of nurturing, a place of developing them, creating values in them, and letting them know that this is the right way to go. Whether your mother is there, your father is there, you have to do the right thing. The culture of instilling discipline, it's very important. So when you are not there, they know that this is, if I do this thing and my mother will not be happy, they will not do it because you have taught them, you have nurtured them in that part. So it's a bit challenging, but a lot of us have been able to juggle it through and come out strong.
Wow. Oftentimes, I hear women talk about not wanting to raise, not wanting their nannies to raise their kids, and then they also would not want to neglect their work with neglect it because they are raising children.
Children.
How were you able to manage? Were you raising them with nannies, or you were just?
Oh yes, I had nannies, not just nannies in the growing up stages of my kids, and it's for a career woman. It's inevitable. It is in you have to have somebody who will help when you are not at home, who will clean the house, who will do the chores, and it's it has its own what do you call it, disadvantages, because at a point I realized that my first son, then when I was in the bank, I would go to work. I leave the house as early as 6 a.m. and I don't come back sometimes till 9. So my son got used to the nanny. I remember this particular incident. It was my son's birthday and he was still very small. And I said, go and call your mommy. He ran into the place I went to drag the
Wow.
It was touching for me. That is because before the child wakes up, I am out. By the time I'm coming back, it's either going to bed, ready to go to bed, or it's gone to bed already. It was a wake-up call, but at some point, I just realized that I cannot be a career woman forever. At some point, I need to maybe get into my own business so that I can have more time to bring up the kids, which I eventually did when I left banking. I started doing my own business and I had more time for my children. And I could see the development, I could see the impacts, my own contribution, my own instilling of values did for my boys. So it's critical.
So for you out there, I'll always call nannies as necessary evil. Some of them are
Necessary
good, some of them are bad, some of them are work in progress. You
Yes.
can never get a perfect nanny, but if you do, lucky are you. You're among the lucky one out of many, right? Okay, so ma'am, in your intro, I read the part where you talked about where you talked about the fellowship, about healing and all that. And oftentimes, there are a lot of women that become single mother not by choice,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They become single parents as a result of the demise of their spouse. Some of them they had to run out of the marriage because of domestic violence and all that. So for you, what is the experience like?
My experience was uh, um, a toxic relationship, right?
Were you
Um,
married to the person?
yes,
Okay.
it became so toxic that I had to run.
Wow.
I was becoming a shadow of myself. And a day like that, I sat down and I said to myself, if I lose myself in this relationship, I would not be there to raise this child.
Mm,
And if I'm not there to raise this child, what will become of her?
mm,
Yeah. And I just thought to myself, you need to run now. It was, the society did not support it, but then it was my decision. It was my life, right? And I wasn't just looking at it from my own perspective. I was looking at it from the child's perspective because
mm,
if I ignored it at that time, and I stayed longer, maybe I have even more children, right? And I lose it, probably lose my life or anything
mm.
can happen. The children will blame me one day and
Yes.
say,
Yeah.
if mom had left when she was supposed to,
Yeah.
this wouldn't have happened, right? So I just decided, and um, it's 8 years.
Since you left.
Yes,
Wow. Would you say that's the best decision you made?
best decision I have ever made.
So has it been raising the child all by yourself and then
Okay,
working?
yes. The truth is, it isn't easy, right? But it is easy.
Okay.
Why? Because one thing that helped me was my determination. Um, I, I I am this person that if I say I want to achieve this, I go all out, and ensure that I achieve it. And all thanks to my siblings. When I got out, I wasn't really stable, right? But then they were like a support for me till I got my balance, And when I got my balance, I hit the ground running. It was then I had a clarity on my career path, and at that point, juggling, taking care of a child, and work has its own demand, especially for anyone in my line of career, right? Has its own demand. At first, I wasn't getting it, but then I went back to God. He says, "He that lacketh wisdom, let him ask of God that giveth
Yes.
liberally and upbraideth not." And I told God, I said, um, I told you about my move. You supported me on this, and you said your grace. I can't forget that. He said your grace is sufficient for me,
Wow.
right? And but now I'm losing it. It's as if that grace is not available anymore.
Yes.
But then he then reminded me, my grace is sufficient for not that I am going to provide, is already made available. Then I said, okay, so all I needed to do was look inward and tap into that grace. There's nothing that like you can't do it because what the scripture tells me is that I can do all things through
Through
Christ that
Christ strengthens you.
strengthens me. And I just needed to awaken me in the inside and said, you can do this. And one thing that helped me all along, sometimes it gets overwhelming, and that's the truth. But then you just tap, there's always a strength made available
Yeah.
somewhere, you know. And was it last year? My daughter looked at me and said, I just love the woman that you are.
Wow.
Career wise, you're successful. Spiritually,
How old is she now?
she's 10. going
Wow.
to 11. Career-wise, you're successful. I want to be like you. And I told her, don't wish to be like anybody. Wish to be like who God wants you to be. Right. So those little encouragement here and there keeps me going. I'm like, yeah, I got this. I got this. And each time when I get overwhelmed, God taps me, you're doing a great job.
Wow.
So it's not going to be easy at first. But then when you tap in the inside, there's always a strength made available. There's always grace made available. If you check from the inside, you will know that you can do all things.
That's right.
All things. Determination. Build up that resilience. You can do it. Yeah, and that's what has kept me going, in this journey.
Wow. Wow. Oftentimes people still stay in toxic relationships because they feel that according to the Bible, because God hates divorce, they feel that they want to stay to please God. But hearing from your account, from your personal story, you're being encouraged, right? I've come to realize that God is not, He doesn't hate the divorcee. He doesn't hate, because before the marriage, He has plans and purpose for you. So He will not deliberately allow you stay in a toxic relationship, all because He hates divorce, right? So she made a very profound statement about society, how society influenced women's decisions to stay back, right? There are people who became single mothers by choice. Those are the people that did that out of wedlock. Some of them were busy frolicking with married men. Some of them lived a rough life. But we're not looking at that. We're looking at women who have been married before, and they stepped out of the marriage for some justifiable reason, but yet the society is not fair on them. So I want you to discuss about society. Is that something that you faced? What do you think of the society pressure and the negative vibes that comes from it?
The society pressure is there, but your life is yours. The society will not live your life for you. And permit me to say here that if anything happens to you in that toxic marriage, it's the same society that will come and blame you and tell you, what were you doing there? We're waiting for them to kill you first. You get?
Yeah.
So it's like, I had to also walk out of my marriage when I realized it was getting, there was a religious war going on in my home. You can't carry my son to church, you can't do this, you can't do that. I kind of got into a wrong marriage. The foundation was bad. That
wanted you to belong to the wrong.
Yes, he wanted me to belong to another religion, and I was like, no, this was not the plan from the very beginning. And it was like a religious battle was taking on place in the house. It was so toxic. So one day I just packed my things. It got all to the point of it was getting really like physical. I just realized that if I stay here, I will, like she said, you either lose yourself or you die there. So I walked out, and I've never looked back. And you realize that when you take, God wants to fulfill the desires of your heart. Yeah. God does not want you in a toxic marriage. God does not want you to be unhappy. He wants you to be happy. So if you're going to be there and you cannot be able to serve Him, you cannot be able to fulfill your calling, your assignment. So what are you doing there? Do you get? So I don't second to people who say, okay, because of society, we need to just stay because of the children. At the end of the day, the children will be the ones who will lose. The man can go back and marry somebody else tomorrow. I know of somebody, the wife died, and in less than 6 months, the man remarried.
Wow.
He remarried. So what has society got to say? So the first thing is life. Life is very important. Life is very critical. And God has given us life. Nobody has that right to take that life God has given us.
That's right.
Nobody has that right to make us unhappy. Even the Bible, Jesus said, I have given you my peace. My peace have I given you. So why will I stay in a marriage where I don't have peace, where I don't have security, where I'm not safe? I don't want to use the word to hell with society, but man, your life first.
First.
Somebody said there's no marriage in heaven. You will stand before the throne. You're not standing with your husband. You're not standing with your children. So people have different views and different orientation. But my own take is, if the marriage is not working, like she said, if it's getting toxic, it is getting to a stage where you know that you're going to lose your head, you're going to lose your mental peace. You men, take a heck, man, walk out. That is it. Like you said, God said He does not hate. God hates marriage, but it doesn't mean He hates. Like God hates sinners, but He doesn't hate you.
He hates sin. He doesn't.
He doesn't hate. Yes, He hates sin. He doesn't hate you.
Sin, yeah.
The love of God, the Bible says, is shed abroad in our heart. God loves us. So if there's anything that will drag us back, take us away from His love, make us less of what He has created us to be, God will not approve of it.
So how was it like starting afresh? Because that has been the challenge of every woman that is in a troubled relationship or marriage. It'll be like, how do I start from the beginning? How do I start afresh? So with your experience, how were you able to?
Number one, you need a God factor. You need the God factor. Critical. It's a function of how much of God you have in you to be able to thrive. Otherwise, it'll be tough. Then you need to also be determined. This is a path I have taken. I know I don't want to drown. You have to be able to put your head above the water, above the storm, so that you can be able to live for your children. Right? So it's not like it's easy. I'm not saying it's a kick in the park, but you have to be determined yourself. You have to have the God factor, and you have to be prayerful. You know, like He said, God says, my grace is sufficient for you. That grace is already given to us.
Because some of these women who is contemplating to leave, right? Some of them, they don't have friends that can support them. Some of them don't even have a job. Some of them, their job is not sufficient. Some of them don't even know where to go to.
I didn't have a job. I left, I was homeless.
Wow.
But I
With
left.
your child?
Yes.
Left anyway.
I left anyway.
So where were you staying? How?
I stayed with friends. Remember that I stayed with a friend. She's so dear to me, right? Stayed with the church. We met in church, right? Stayed with her. The husband took me in. I was becoming uncomfortable because I feel I was
Inconvenienced.
Yeah, right. I left.
And she never for one day felt suspicious about you and her husband.
Never.
A lot of women, ladies now, they will encourage you, leave the marriage. And when they take you in, they start having this insecurity about you taking their husband.
Not even when they take you in, when they see you close to their husband.
Yes.
Men will just pity you and say, okay, I want to help. Once they hear that he wants to help, something else is happening.
Yeah.
So there's this title they give single mothers that they just want to flirt around. That's why they left the marriage. It happened to me. People gave me names.
Wow.
Right. But I didn't look at that. As I said, I'm a determined person. Where I'm going is there are days I cried my eyes out for days.
Wow.
Like, why? Because people just, anytime they just see you, they just tag you that, okay, this is what is happening, around you. Even men just, once they hear that, okay, you're a single mother, they just see you as, an instrument to just, take advantage of, it was becoming, and that was the thing I was referring to when I said this society will not just encourage it, right? But then it's something we have to, live above, right? And I remember when I was going to take charge of that situation, she said something that God, it is God first, God second, God third, God, right? So I was going to take charge of it, and I was like, enough is enough. I've had enough of this trend. It went like that for like 3-4 years, right? I just took it, and I took it up, in prayer. And I'm like, this trend must stop, right? I commanded it, he said he has given us the authority to command those things that be not as if they were. I commanded it to be, and I started seeing changes, right? I said I didn't have
A roof over your
a
head.
roof over my head. I did menial jobs
Wow.
because white collar jobs wasn't coming. I did menial job. My business, I was running businesses then. My business, crumbled because I just had to feed from hand to mouth. I have school fees to pay. All he just did was he worked out all the bills are yours.
Wow.
It's all yours.
So he wasn't taking care of the child.
I don't even
Was there
care.
any what do they call it? Custody battle?
No, none.
Oh.
Right? He doesn't even care, and I don't care. Right? What I held on to was that word from God, my grace is sufficient. I guided it jealously. It was as if I was giving a gold to,
Yes, a
so
gold.
I held on to it. Even when I feel pained, when I feel overwhelmed, I held on to that word, and from one step at a time. It won't get better in a flash. It's a step at a time. I did many jobs, washed people's clothes,
Wow.
cleared sites, I did many jobs, right? And from there, I got a job, and even
You
in the
were still
midst
living
of
with
that,
your friend?
yes, at that time, and I started gathering money. I remembered it was the first property that I sold
Wow.
that made me get my apartment. And the apartment, trust Lagos now, the first apartment I got was a leaking house. It was a leaking house, but I stayed there.
Yeah, it was yours.
It was mine. I could pride in it. I
Yes.
remember when this friend I told you about came to visit me, and the rain started. And I'm like, I'm sorry, with this rain, we're going to have a leaking roof. And she was like, I'm proud of you.
Wow.
I'm like, she's married, happily married. She's still married. By God's grace, our marriage will live forever,
Amen.
right? She looks me in the eyes and said, I don't think I can do what you did, but from now till tomorrow, I commend your courage.
Wow.
I respect your strength. I don't have that strength. I'm sorry. She doesn't. She says it, right? And then she says, I will stay with you in this house.
Wow.
We'll pack the water together
Wow.
because I know where you're coming from. And today, all glory to God. I live in a gated estate. All bills
Your
paid by
comfort-
myself.
yeah.
I'm comfortable.
And your child is well taken care of.
Yes, I'm comfortable. You can't see my child outside and say she's being raised by a single mother. Nah. No. Even some people that don't know me personally in church don't believe I am not married. Right? They believe there is a father
Somewhere.
and mother figure. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it won't get good. It won't be rosy. Nah, there will be a time, in Ecclesiastics, the word of God, itemized it. That there's time for everything.
Everything.
There's a time to sow. When you're sowing, it's in pain.
Yeah.
It's always in pain. Ask the farmers. They dig and toil, right? But there will be a time to harvest. When it's time to harvest, you sit back, relax.
And enjoy the fruit of your labor.
Yeah.
Wow. Sometimes, aside from the women who, wonder, okay, how do I start? There are some women that are they are raising the children all by themselves, right? But they have what it takes. They are literally doing everything. They are paying the fees, they're paying the rent, they're taking care of the child. But they just feel that because of the stigma, because I like what she said. She said, with you raising your child, there's a balance. There's no lack of that father figure. So that breaks the stereotype that single mothers can raise children right, right? Because there's this thing going on social media. I think there was a time I saw an article of a man that said, never marry a child from a single mother or a single parent, So just listening and hearing that single mothers can also raise children right. There are some couples, they are still in marriage, the father is present, the mother is present, yet the child is wayward.
Yeah.
Right? So I think to the society now, it's unfair for you to, because this person
Stigmatize.
stigmatized single, especially when you don't know their backstory. You understand? I think many years ago, a renowned gospel artist died
Yeah.
as a result of so many complications. And when she died, it came out and they said she was in an abusive relationship, an abusive marriage. And some school of thought felt that she could have come out of it. Another school of thought said because she's a believer, if she had, it will affect her marriage. And this thing happens also in church. They say, oh, she's a single mother. There's this stigmatization and all that, right? So to you now, right, we've dealt on raising a child, having the capacity through the help of God, raising a child, right? She made a very profound statement where she was talking. She talked about love life, that some men will want to take advantage, right? Has that been an issue when it comes to remarrying, getting into a relationship with the other sex, just trying again? Because it gets to some women, they'll tell you, you know what, I'm done with men. They tell you I'm done with men.
Yeah.
And then some women see their children as their therapists. They begin to pour on the child. The dad did this, the dad, and it forms something negative in the heart of the child concerning how they see men. So what do you think about finding love again? After being as a single mother, what do you think of finding love?
Personally, I think I've gotten so used to being by myself, on my own, raising my kids by myself, paying the bills, and yeah, finding love is wonderful, but I don't know. I've gotten to that point of so much independence that I love the life I live now. It's not like I'm saying finding love is not good, but sometimes it kind of gets scary getting into another relationship because you don't know what it holds. And it could get a bit scary sometimes. Then having to know the fact that you have your own space, you can do your own thing, I can carry my bag and travel at any time. That independence is just so beautiful. I've gone through this experience over the years. Well, it's not like I've not tried my hands on, like starting a relationship, but I just realized that I've kind of built a wall over the years for myself and my kids. And I've kind of made, I don't want to put it out there like it's something, created my own world, my own happiness. Happiness, like they say, is free. You don't let somebody else define your happiness. Define your happiness, right? If the love comes, yes, fine. But if it doesn't come, you live a happy life, take care of your kids, put your best foot forward. For me, that is it. That is it. And I think to some extent, I've been able to live a kind of life that some people look at me and like, I admire this woman. I admire her strength. There was a married lady who came to me one time. He had issues with with her husband, and he was saying, I am tired, I'm going to leave the house. I said, no, you can't, you have to stay there. Your kids and everything, you just keep praying. He said, but look at you. I said, who no. He said, but look at you. You've been able to take care of the boys. She was looking at me as a role model. And I was like, you have no idea what I've gone through, the shit I've gone through. Sorry for that word. What I've gone through to just being able to sometimes it gets so lonely. Sometimes as much as you have a dead bulb in the house, and you look around, you need a man to just help you climb and take you down and wait. You get so it's not all a rose in the park, but like she said, with the grace of God, you can just sum out a lot of things. It's good to find love when you find a wonderful person who has a good heart, who can flow with you. Yes, but if you don't find, what happens? Life goes on.
Wow. Life goes on.
Life goes on.
Yeah.
There is more to you than marriage. I mean, marriage is beautiful. Having a partner who holds your hand, helps you, complements your weakness and your strength, helps you grow and become better. It's beautiful, actually. But if there's a reason for one to step out, then I think one should not hold back. One should not make marriage.
It should not just be a frivolous reason. It must be something that is very critical and concrete.
Yeah.
So what reason can you give?
Like toxicity in marriage. When it gets to the point where the marriage gets so toxic, there's no peace, they are battering and beating and all that. You know that, yes.
What about infidelity? I think the other time I was reading a chat. I was reading a chat online, and a lady said that the husband got heartbroken by his side chick, and he has been crying all through.
Oh my God.
She said,
The husband got what?
yes, he got heartbroken. Yeah, the side chick broke his
you
heart.
kidding me?
So he has been moody, crying. That he at first, when the man came back home, she noticed that the man's mood dropped, that he wasn't happy and all that. She was wondering what happened. Did he lose his job? Did he lose money? Until she dig deep and got through his phone and found out that the girlfriend cheated on him. And then I think one thing led to another. So the man has been crying. The man was even begging. So in her head, she said, the man is an unrepentant cheat. So she said she's already making her plans to move out of the house. You know, and since we were talking about reasons for you to leave, is that enough reason for you to, you know, tell yourself, you know what, I can't continue to treat infection, I can't continue to battle with women I don't know from. Is that enough
For me, it's neither here nor there. There are people who are different. Some people can handle it. Some people can handle infidelity and still. Some people know that their husbands are cheating and sleeping around, and they are still there in the marriage. They can handle it. But there are some that you will almost go crazy. You will have a mental breakdown just to think that your husband is cheating on you and is sleeping with some other women outside, and he will come and still sleep with you. Some people cannot handle it. So it all depends on you. I'm not going to say it's right or it's wrong, but somebody like me, I know I cannot handle it. I carry my bag, and move. But for some people that can handle it, if you can pray, God can help you and all that. We believe in miracles, fine. But it's not what. Sorry? Prayer works.
So sorry to cut you, right? Mine was a fair share of infidelity.
Okay.
Right? Infidelity to the
And
point
battering.
of yes.
Wow.
Infidelity to the point of he's doing it right in front of me.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I have to get out.
Can you imagine?
Wow.
Yes,
Like he
so-
brings her in and the child will be there.
Yes.
Police.
You know, I I traveled, and then before I got back, my daughter, you know, she was still little, and then said, Auntie came over the weekend.
Whoa.
And then said I shouldn't call her auntie, I should call her mom.
Ah. Okay.
I'm like, okay. So, and the reason why I called you was that I prayed. Right? It's okay to pray. If it is God's plan for you to stay, He will heal the marriage.
Absolutely.
I have seen men change from infidelity. I mean, stunk, chronic infidelity. Now, this is a man that the wife had to, you know, subject herself to mating every night to satisfy him, but then he still goes out. At that point, the woman just resorted to, you know, my nails. I've tried all my best. And then he said he was in the office one day, and then he just saw a vision of a stinking gutter. He said, and
That's the man.
That's the man. He said, when he said, why would I envision something like this? He said, that is what you have. He said, what do you mean? He went outside.
If someone was talking to
him, went to then called the secretary. Did someone come to my door? He said, no, sir. He said, oh, okay. Went back and said, I'm telling you, that is what you are. He said, but why will I be like that? You stick your something into every
wow.
That is what you are. Okay. Unless you desist, then I will make you beautiful.
Whoa.
That was an encounter for him, that was the turning point.
Yeah.
So all those, a man has to test different soups
No, he changed.
It didn't work.
Yeah, because that was his
And all those
philosophy.
something must kill a man.
He said something, yes, that was his philosophy. He said, I cannot be eating jollof rice and jollof rice. And that's what he used to tell the wife. I can't be eating jollof rice every day. I want variety. I want Chinese fried rice. I want, okay.
Oh.
And the wife said, okay, no problem, Oni. No problem.
Serve yourself,
Enjoy it.
but I will withdraw.
I will.
When
No,
they-
no,
when
she
they-
didn't withdraw. She said she
was
God
still
told
giving
her.
him
She was
access
still
to-
giving I'm giving him herself.
Access to her
Yes.
body.
Feed him, respect him. But said
take care of
every night on her nails, said, God, okay, you said I should stay, but then you need to fix this before I lose it.
As I was saying, that it's not one cup.
But then I prayed, and God told me, I didn't send you there.
Wow. Okay,
It was your choice.
let's have it.
If you can't stay there anymore, then leave. And
So
I packed
it was
my
basically
things.
not the will of God.
It wasn't.
But was it a love
It
marriage?
was a love. It was a
And you
love.
didn't see the signs?
I
Because sometimes
felt-
they'll attack people like this. They'll say, oh, the signs were there, you didn't see it.
Yes, the signs were there. I didn't see it then, but aftermath,
Now that's why
I
they say
then,
love is blind.
I then had to, I then had to
You open your
retrospect.
eyes.
Yes, I had to retrospect, and I then said the signs were there. That's the truth, but I didn't see it. At that point, I was making excuses for him. But then, at that point, that was when I know I fasted. I prayed. When you say you 7 days dry fast because of a man.
7 days.
7 days. And I told God, until you say something, if you're not saying anything, I'm not going to rest. Let me die. Let them know that I died fasting. 7th day in the morning, I was in the room. And then he said, did I send you here? I had to go outside.
To go and check.
Because I've been waiting for him to just say a word. Just a word. Just tell me, okay, it is going to be fine, or it's not going to be fine. I just want to hear you say something. Right? He said, now are you ready to listen? I said, okay, fine. I'm ready.
Where do we go from here?
What is the solution? The solution is leave. And live the life that I have for you.
Wow.
Okay, so yeah, and I told myself it's about time to leave. So prayer works, right? Prayer definitely works. And if prayer is not working, then you need to categorically ask God to direct you. In silence, God is speaking. Even when he's silent, he's speaking. If he's not speaking, there's something he's saying to you. You just need to search in the word. Go into solitude. Listen, listen and listen deeply. He's saying something. If prayer is not working, something is wrong somewhere. You need to fish it out and be sure that you're hearing right. Not that the situation of one person is dictating your decision, because that is very important. I want to leave because my friend left her marriage and she's glowing, just like doctor said. It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. God might want you to stay there and learn perseverance.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
that's true.
God might want you to stay there and learn something. There's something is working in you. It's like a potter, molding
Mold the clay.
a pot. He's trying to mold you into something. It won't make sense at that point, but when you go through it all and it becomes something beautiful, then you can then trace and say, oh, now I see what you were doing in me and through me. Right? And there's something I want to speak on. It's about love, finding love, right? First 4 years, I will almost cause anything that sounds like love, because at first I didn't get it right.
Okay.
I allowed love to lead me, but then God took me through a journey, right? And I learned that love exists. Yeah. Why? Because I found love in Christ. Then I loved myself.
Yes.
Right? So loving myself is like a discovery. You need to put yourself, you need to first love yourself. If you don't love yourself at first, I think that was the missing point for me, right? If you don't love yourself at first, getting it right in love would be a little bit, it's going to be grace, right? Yeah, and I'm open to love again, right? And why? Because God said yes. My story is not complete if I'm going to remarry, right? And I'm marrying right, right this time, right? So the reason why I wanted to point that is so that people won't say, so single mothers shouldn't remarry. Is that what they're saying, right? It's okay to find love again, but ensure that you're not making the same
mistake trying to change a man, trying to micromanage.
You can't micromanage a man. You can change a man. You didn't create him in the first instance. Ensure that it is right. Ensure it is right, because before you can go back to God, God must have been in that journey with you. Do you understand? If something is happening and God was in the journey with me, I can go back to him. God, you created this man. You have his manuscript. Alpha, what's going on, right? And then we'll be able to say, okay, do this. There's several stories about this. Just the one I just cited. She had to go back to God. I know you said this about this marriage, but I'm not seeing it. What's going on? Yeah.
So is there like a speck of men that comes to single mothers? Because I think the other day someone was saying that a lot of women leave their marriage to go after married men.
Yeah.
So is there like a speck of maybe because they will say that at what age to what age a woman is in her prime, the kind of the quality of men that comes to her, then when one becomes a single mother, those quality reduce. So is there like a spec that they used to see, like young guys or married or people, widows or widowers? Is there like a general spec?
Okay, for me, my friends say because I look I look 10 years younger than my age.
Okay.
I still get 20s.
Wow.
Single guys, 30s, single guys, right? And I tell them, one thing is, the only thing is I don't have a placard here that says I'm a single mother.
Oh.
I don't hide it, right? I tell you straight off, I have a child. If you're not okay with it, I remember one horrible date I went on, Mega Chicken, and we got talking. He already knows that, and then it was like making some demands that if you're going to start this relationship, this has to be this. I said, I'm like, okay, so why are you giving me this vibe? He said, because I'm just trying to manage you. I'm like, okay.
Wow, he actually said that.
Yes, I said, there you got it wrong. You've met the wrong person. You think you can say that with me and then walk out of this place peacefully? No, guy. Look at me very well. You are getting a treasure.
He thought he was doing you a favor.
Favor. I'm doing you a favor. Do I even know if you can bet? I have proven it. I am fertile.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you can beat that. There was a young guy, a young man with his wife that was sitting at the next table, and they had,
the conversation.
Talk back, and the man was like, "I love this. I counted my money and chew it out, Tim. Pay the bills."
That's
and I
right.
walked out. The man came to me downstairs and then transferred 50,000 naira to me.
Are you
He said,
for real?
I love the way you stood up against that guy.
Yes.
He went back upstairs and gave him the peace of his mind. If you know you're not going to, she told you already. Why do you have to make
That was
the
so
same?
arrogant.
Yeah, it was arrogant. And then he came back to plead. Sorry, I blocked him on WhatsApp. He came on Instagram to plead. He's sorry. Da, 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 da. I said, fine. You just showed me who you are. We can just be friends at arm's length, Yeah. So I get married men comes, but most of the times it's young guys. I get a lot of single guys.
Wow.
A lot. A lot.
So it all depends on how you carry yourself,
Definitely.
how you love yourself. I love what when she said you have to love yourself first, because what you did, standing up for yourself, was born out of a place of self-confidence and self-worth. You know, a lot of women would live in pity. You know, they'll throw a pity party and say, oh, you know, because of my condition. So any Tom, Dick, and Harry that just shows up, you know, they dash to marry. Wow. That's the gist is oh, it's getting me really. I don't know, for you watching, I hope this is blessing you. You don't have to stay in a toxic relationship. If you have to leave, right? If you have to leave. Leave when you're alive. Don't leave when your body, your soul, your spirit leaves your body. Right. I want us to talk a bit on co-parenting. Right. The other day, I think it is becoming a thing on social media.
Yeah.
When marriages don't work and there's this battles between ex-couples. So there's this custody battle.
Yeah.
They don't want the father to see the child, because for some reasons they feel the child is no longer safe. You know, with the father. You know, the woman will say, I don't want my child to be raised by another woman and all that. What do you think about co-parenting?
Well, for me, I think both parents should have access to the child.
Yeah.
As far as they have a thriving environment where the child can be nurtured, where the child can be taken care of. I don't have a problem with that. I had an issue with my husband. We got divorced, but my son stays with me and I allow him to go and spend time with his dad. So I don't think there's any problem with that. And from my own end, I think it's fine. It's fine. It's both of you that have the children or the kids, and you can't just deprive the other person from getting access. And like I said, as far as he has an environment, a good environment, the man is not into smoking or bringing the child into a toxic environment, then that is where it is a no-no for me, because it's going to affect the child growing up mentally and everything. So for me, I don't think there should be any goes about custody. The child can go and spend time with the father or the mother, as far as they have a very good environment.
But there have been scenarios where the mom allows the child to go stay with the father, or maybe the father relative, and at the end of the day, the man disappears with the child. And just like what you said, there's an ongoing battle with the popular artist, despite having everything. But there's this, I won't let my child, and then the child becomes the center of all the wars.
The war.
Yes, the war.
It's not healthy. That's not really healthy.
It's not healthy
for the child or the children, and the parents involved should exercise caution and wisdom. Because at the end of the day, you're trying to do what is good for you or what appeals to you, but you're not considering the child.
Yes.
A lot of kids have lived with that mental torture of seeing their parents fighting and all the battles and all the bashing and all that. It's not good for the child. So you don't have to be selfish as a parent. If your decision is going to affect that child negatively, you know that you're not supposed to do that. But on the other hand, it should be balanced. If we are people who know God, who have the fear of God, we know what is the right thing to do. And we should always try to do the right thing. Try to do the right thing.
Wow, so this is, you heard it, create a balance.
Just
create a balance, regardless of how you feel. Because sometimes they transfer the hot to the child.
Yes.
They transfer the hot to the child, the venom to the child, and then the child, it's a lifelong burden on the child.
The child grows up with that kind of mentality. I've had people, some kids say, "Oh, I don't want to get married."
Yeah.
That's because of the
Yes.
where they're coming from, what they have experienced with their parents. They have this wrong notion and mindset
About marriage.
because of where they were groomed, how the experiences they face and all that. So it's not good for anybody
not.
to
It's not.
grow in that kind of
Yeah.
environment with that kind of mentality.
Wow. So as we wrap, would you have something to say to a single mother out there?
Okay. First thing I'd say is, single mother, you're doing amazing, right? If there's anything you need to be deliberate about, is about loving yourself.
Absolutely.
Find yourself, love yourself, equip yourself, rebrand yourself. Very important. So that when you look back, you can tell a beautiful story. You know, even to your children, right, or your child, as the case may be. It's important for you to do these things because the children or the child you're raising, they are watching. And you need to model the right thing to them and not say, I wish I was birthed into a complete family. That would not be, our experience. So, hey, single mother, you're doing amazing.
Wow. You're doing amazing. You're doing a good job. Ma'am, from you, any words for single mothers?
Single mothers are the real MVPs.
Yes.
They are the real MVPs because I know I have been in the shoes and I know the toil. They do the work of two parents. So they have to, like she said, they should love upon themselves. If you're a single mother out there, love upon yourself. Give yourself the best life. Nobody else can do that for you. I know that you are the real MVP. Take care of yourself and give your children, give your kids the best that you can ever do. Because if those kids don't grow up in a balanced mindset and in a balanced way, you find out that it will affect you too, as a mother, as a parent. So just put your best foot out there and give it your best shot. And I know that, yes, the grace is always sufficient for you.
Any words for women having phobias for being single parents?
Oh, my one and final word for them is just put your trust in God and call on Him. He will answer. He answered my prayer when I had to walk out of my marriage. And I looked back and I said, no, this is not where I want to be. I am more than this. And when I was leaving the house that day, I didn't know where I was going to. I didn't have a place in mind. But I just knew I had to leave. I just took a few bags. My maid put my son on the back, and we just walked away out of that place.
Wow.
We walked away out of that environment because it was no longer. It was becoming very toxic for me. I was running out of my mind, and I did it. When I walked out of that place, I knew I found peace. I had to even stay with my uncle for some time, but at the end of the day, I found my feet. There's always a silver lining at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
To you, ma'am, any word for the struggling mom?
Yes. Just as doctor said, put your trust in God. And even in the midst of the storm, try to find peace and let the peace of God garrison your heart.
Absolutely.
There and then alone can you hear what God is saying. That's the only thing, and when you pray with an open mind. Don't make people's story a yardstick for you to go to God in prayer. That, God, do you want me to go out? No, be open to hear from Him and be ready to do what He wants you to do. Two things. If you're struggling in your marriage, you can pray to God and He can help you to work it out. And you can pray to God and He gives you the grace to work out. And if that is what you're doing, do it with all you've got. And if you're working it out, do it with all you've got. The grace definitely is sufficient for you.
Wow. The grace is sufficient for you. Dear woman out there watching this, before you became a mom, a wife, a mother, a daughter, you're first a human being, and God loves you. You must, you should love yourself. Love yourself enough to know when you should walk out of any toxic relationship. How you're going to start it, nobody has it figured out. But there is a part of the Bible that I really love, the scripture that says that the path of the just is as a shining light that shines brighter and brighter
To the perfect day.
onto the perfect day. It's going to be hard at first, but sitting back here with these beautiful ladies and they are telling you they have walked on that shoes and they are happy now means that you can do it because they have done it. And to the society out there putting unnecessary pressure, some of you don't even have your life figured out. You guys take it easy on people. Take it easy. You don't know their backstory. And even if you know their backstory, everybody has his or her own race.
Battles.
Right? You don't pay their bills. If they come to you for help, if you cannot help, move on. Let them be. And I stand to correct this notion. Not all badly behaved children are raised by single parents.
Absolutely.
There are good children that are raised by single parents that can stand on parallel a line or standard with children raised by both parents. So please, society, love up on women that are striving, women that want good for themselves. And to the woman out there, love yourself. Love yourself. She said something, and I also want to say it. Package yourself well, right? That it didn't work before does not mean that it's not going to work again.
Absolutely.
Until I meet you, same time, same place next week. From us, we say bye-bye.